Welcome back, everyone, here to Bronx Talks. Today, we are going to be talking about the New York Yankees and some positions they need to address. The Yankees have been fantastic this season. They've been the best team in baseball. They've done it on the pitching side, they've done it offensively. They've done everything we can ask for them. But as we start to approach the middle of June, we have found some weaknesses or some positions that do need to be addressed. Some guys aren't having great seasons. The Yankees are still getting wins. But when it comes to October, you want to put your best foot forward, and you don't really want to have as many holes. And any holes that you can address should be addressed. But there's certainly some guys that are struggling for the Yankees, and the Yankees should do something about it at the trade deadline.
Yeah, the first kind of thing that you have to look at is first base. And I think we've tried to ignore it because, Anthony Rizzo's there and we like him, but he really wasn't great in 2023. I know he had the concussion and you could say that impacted it, but he's played a little over 60 games here and he's been pretty bad. His OPS below 650. There's really just not been production coming from him. And, we've been very lucky that the rest of the lineup's been pretty good. But, when we're talking about, a championship caliber team, this is not, a really good team's first baseman. Now, is this just a really slow start for Rizzo? I guess, but I mean, look, he's 34. I think it's kind of just a matter of age. I don't think it's this big of a drop off, but I don't think it could hurt to upgrade at the position, especially when, we also have LeMahieu. You might say, well, you could platoon him with Rizzo. Just both not really great options there. So I think the first thing the Yankees should kind of be looking at is corner infielders. What's a bat that we can get that would just strengthen our lineup?
I think the first guy that comes to mind is Ryan McMahon. Jeff Passan wrote something about teams and their trade deadline predictions, or his trade deadline predictions, and he said that Ryan McMahon would be a great fit for the Yankees over there at third base. And we made a video, Yankees top six trade deadline targets. We had Ryan McMahon in there. I think he'd be a good fit. But the thing with Rizzo, I think that's really, disappointing or puts you in a tough spot. He's such a vocal leader in that clubhouse. He's right there with Judge. I'd say he's one of the biggest leaders on the team. Won the World Series in 2016. I don't see the Yankees getting him off the roster. I'd be shocked if that happened, but I think the Yankees definitely need to change his role somehow if he doesn't get the bat going. And maybe he, starts or finds himself on the bench or something like that. And, maybe can get some platoon matchups, but he just hasn't been good. We've seen it on the defensive end too. He hasn't looked totally himself. There is a little bit of time before the trade deadline, right? Like a month and a half. So, for his sake, I really hope he can get it going, and for the Yankees as well, because it would just be one less problem they have to have. And then third base is interesting. They have a ton of guys. Obviously, Birdie is injured. Oswaldo Cabrera has seen a lot of action there. DJ LeMahieu as well. LeMahieu just hasn't been the same guy the last few years. He's batting under 200, right? He still plays good defense all around the diamond. He's very valuable in that utility role. So he'll definitely stay on the roster as well. But I think upgrading that position with a guy like Ryan McMahon would be very beneficial. But I think when it comes to LeMahieu and Rizzo, I don't see any of them being off the roster. So I don't know what the Yankees totally do there. But I do think for Rizzo's sake, it will be his last season with the Yankees. $17 million next year. The Yankees have a $6 million buyout. I think they'll let him go. He's been not benched, but sat the last two games. Maybe the Yankees trying to get him right, clear his head a little bit. But he has some time to figure it out. DJ as well. It's just going to be interesting to see what the Yankees do and how they mess with those guys on the roster.
Yeah, I think if we were talking about this a month ago, it would kind of be a second baseman, and I think we'd be all right with and feeling comfortable with Rizzo and a healthy DJ coming back. But Glaber's picked it up. I think we can all feel confident enough in him. I get he's had his struggles, he has his slumps, but at the end of the day, he's a talented player. Opposed to when you look at like 2 34-year-olds who have kind of been on the downhill trajectory their last few seasons, I don't know if you could feel that comfortable in them. So, I think maybe the Yankees' plan of attack this deadline should be just get one bat that you can slot in your lineup, either at third base or first base, and then we can live at the other spot with one of our million options between Oswaldo, DJ, Rizzo, and ride the hot hand between those guys. But, I think having both of those positions, especially with, this is just a stereotype, but, ideally your first and third basemen are kind of providing a little bit of power and at least a little bit of a bat. I just don't know if that's really their best option. I mean, it's not their best option. So, we've mentioned Ryan McMahon. I do think they can definitely get someone. Obviously, they're going to have to get a few bullpen arms too. But look, I think this is probably the best spot the Yankees have been, going into a trade deadline, because it's really plain and simple. I mean, there's a few spots that you really just have to improve, and then that's it. As for roster, I don't think it should be too much of a problem. Because obviously DJ and Rizzo, they're still going to be on the team, even if they're not starting every day. But Jahmai Jones, he'll be sent down. I don't think Trent Grisham's still going to be on the roster. I guess John Birdie might kind of be in that competition if they were to go and acquire another infielder. So it'd be weird if a guy like Rizzo or DJ suddenly became a backup. But, when you're looking at it from a baseball standpoint, I mean, it makes sense.
Yeah, there's some positions the Yankees have to upgrade, and two really good veterans who have been there, done that. You don't want to let them go. I mean, that could be valuable experience come playoff time. A guy could come off the bench like Rizzo and get a big hit, or like LeMahieu, something like that, because they have that experience. But I just think in their everyday roles, it's just not working right now. And if you go into a big series, you don't want that to be shown through. 5-7 games, they have a terrible series, and that can impact you big time. So we'll see what happens with the Yankees, but these positions they can certainly upgrade.